want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right. So that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then what is this? Says squeeze a quarter size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack. But then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And, dang, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day, right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you go in between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally. Because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels, and I have a full show that's available for you guys today. Isn't it impeccable that we don't miss? We don't miss. We don't care how late we stream. We don't care what time we come back on. We don't care what's going on. We absolutely, positively do not miss when it comes to putting out this phenomenal content and keeping the people updated. I know that these other shows, they got PTO, they got vacations that they got to take. We got to get to the business and we got to make sure that we add value into people's lives. So that's where we at today. We absolutely on top of it. It is raining. It's raining outside. I don't know what's going on. What up, friends and family? I see you, K. Cooper, Tech Coach Ralph, Sabrina, Jack Covington, Oot Milk, Becky, Bosley, Molly in the building. All of my friends and my family is popping off. Ari Reed, Carla R, Phil, Tracy Turner. All of y'all, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up to my friends and family. I appreciate y'all for continuing to tune in and rock out with me. This is the greatest morning show on earth. Did y'all enjoy the show last night? Can we get a round of applause for Q continuing to bring me trigger? I don't know what's going on. You say I look darker in the studio as usual because I don't have the natural light coming in. So, you know what I'm saying? I just kind of just turned on the lights that I got going on. I could turn it up for y'all. Y'all want me to give y'all a little bit of an adjustment? Let me see. Brightness. We can go bright. Is that better? Is that a little better? Want to make myself a little oranger? Be a little oranger. Got the orange going on. Or we can go all the way like that. Or we can go all the way like that. Let me see. A little less orange. Let's go less orange right there. All right, there you go. Am I a little brighter than usual? I usually use a combination of the natural light plus the artificial light in order to make sure that I'm having these conversations with y'all. But we here. So shout out to everybody that tuned into the show last night. I thought it was a great show, as usual. And shout out to everybody that's going to be tuning into After Hours tonight. Before we get started, I definitely want to recognize the sponsor of the show. Shout out to Tiege Hanley. Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Ladies, please stop waiting for the fellas to get it for themselves and make sure that these guys get it. If you are a phenomenal girlfriend, a phenomenal wife, a phenomenal friend, a phenomenal mother, then make sure you get that Tiege Hanley 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. In addition to that, trigger from room 9. In addition, y'all crazy. In addition to that, if you are not a bag chaser, I was going over my numbers because I was preparing for the upcoming some version of Real Estate Club. I know we got Stock Club, but I'm going to have to give a snazzy name to the real estate live streams that we're about to be doing because I want to bring y'all up to speed and give y'all a little bit more insight on how y'all can capitalize from a real estate perspective if you decide to take that investment strategy. I was preparing it, and then I had basically got a bill this morning. Obviously, I got a bill from my surveyor from the next property that we start and that we about to break ground on. And then I was talking to the contractors as far as the painters. Man, paint is so expensive. I mean, and I'm saying painting from scratch because, like, for example, I built the basement into this property that I'm finishing up now. And so, you know, it's a lot of y'all not even familiar with basements because you live in Florida or you might live in Louisiana that's 10 feet below sea level or something like that. But paint is expensive. The custom cabinets, the custom shelves, countertops, painting the whole house from the top all the way up to the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was like, I don't remember, like, total it's going to cost me probably well over $20,000 to paint this house, which includes the materials, includes the labor, the priming. I got custom everything. So, you know, even though all of my properties have to be up to a certain standard, I can't be a slumlord. I'm not going to put the cheapest cabinets in there or nothing like that. Everything is granite. Because I'm going to own it forever. So you could cheap out on the initial cost, but I don't have any financing. I don't have any interest payments to make. So I just put the best materials in there. Even if we rent it out, right? So it's got crown molding all over, the best trim everywhere, custom built-in closets and all of that. Not that cheap stuff that you get that's just a pole that go across with the little wires and all of that. Nah, everything is custom, so everything, but it costs a lot of money in order to have that type of quality. So I always want to give the best products to the people, regardless of what the state is that we're doing, but we always want to get the best products because we want to own it forever, right? You get the best materials, roofing. We don't do asphalt, we do concrete. So, you know, it's a lot, but I definitely want to, and we don't use cheap labor, right? We use the same contractors over and over again. We want to make sure that they get paid. We want to make sure that they're taken care of. So that costs. A lot of people don't understand it. As a business owner, that comes out to a lot more. I can go and get me some Venezuelans. I can go and get me some, you know, people that is working under the table and stuff like that. But we want to do business on the up and up, right? And so that's the way we teach people inside of the Patreon. And it's going to pay off long term much more than if you would have cheaped out and you being a slumlord and stuff like that, right? You get people that stick around and stay in your properties for a lifetime because they get quality. They have a greater quality of life. They don't get gouged out of their eyeballs and continuing to raise rent. And so I try to minimize the amount of interest that I'm paying in order to finance it myself so that I get a longer return. The people is benefiting from it. Everybody wins. So we just always want to do the right thing. We just want to make sure that we take care of business. We want to do the right thing. It's not about gouging people. It's not about the market. It's about the type of business that you do, and people do business with you forever. So we take care of all of our contractors, our painters, our custom cabinetry people, excavators, framers. Everybody is gonna get paid. Everybody eats, B. Everybody eats, B. And the one thing that people have always said, regardless of how they feel about me or my tone or the things that I say, I always do good business. I am always going to do good business. And let me just start off the show by saying that, right? Because this is impromptu, and I always just kind of like give y'all my thoughts, and I kind of sometimes ramble. But it's important for y'all to do good business. I don't know where y'all got off at running off on the plug and, getting to a point to where y'all think that it's cool to do people dirty. That stuff comes back to bite you. Your reputation as a business person. And again, regardless of how people have ever felt about my tone or what I said or my messages or whether or not you like me or you don't like me, nobody, and I mean 0 people in this world could ever say that they didn't get paid from me, that they wasn't taken care of, that they didn't have the same quality of care when they fly in, that if they do work for me as a contractor, as a business owner, if you have done a website for me because my recent new site is launched. If y'all want to tap into my new site, go to antondaniels.com. I paid him literally almost a year ahead of time before I actually came back. Now, I was a little bit slower because I've been so busy. I was a little bit slower on making sure that, I went through and I pick and choose what I like, what I didn't like, what I wanted to change and everything like that. And then eventually I was like, hey, man, let's just get this done and just launch it. But he was already paid a long time ago in full. You know what I'm saying? So I always make sure I take care of the people. And sometimes it even comes back to bite me. Now I got the right people around me. And so I just use the same people over and over again so everybody benefits. If you work for me as a contractor, all of my editors, any assistants that I may have, anybody that rock with me, the one thing that they cannot say is that I don't break bread, that I don't make sure that people is taken care of. And I've always paid people first. I remember when I opened my first restaurant and I was building that out. And, they often say that, in the first year, because I was still in corporate America, I had other businesses and stuff like that. Sometimes when we was launching, before we ever even sold a product, even in training, I would pay people out of my own pocket. I would make sure that people was taken care of. So, if you're going to get into this game, no matter what it is that you do as an entrepreneur, because I hear a lot of times, and people absolutely love working for me. They love dealing with Rita because we are not pushy. We make sure that we hear everybody's concerns. We adjust and we always make sure that, they get everything that they need. If you deal with most contractors, as far as like carpet people, stair people, hardwood flooring, painters, drywallers, excavators, survey people, all of these different people that you got to work with, roofers in order to build the house or whatever, what they will tell you is that most builders are dirty. The big ones, the little ones, the custom home builders, homeowners that ultimately are getting their homes built by the contractors and they come in and they pick whatever it is that they want or whatever, they are nasty. People have bad attitudes in the United States of America across the board, and it don't matter what color you are, it don't matter what gender you are. People are nasty, and they think that even the ones that are paying you on time, sometimes, most of the time on time, because what I've heard from a lot of contractors in particular, and I'm going to go over this inside of the Patreon, and I'm going to break it down of why this makes sense. I'm not going to deep dive into it today. But a lot of these contractors will come in, and they do some of the same contractors that work for me, depending on what they do. Some of them work for the bigger builders. They work for the Lennar Homes. They work for the Pulte Homes and stuff like that. And they hate working for some of these builders and for some of the custom builders, because a lot of these people will come in after they got a contract and they'll say, well, you know what? If you still want to get paid, because you can take this to court, you can go back and forth. But if you want to get paid, you got to take this lesser amount after they've already completed the work. You will be surprised. Listen, the corporate building business game is much more cutthroat than the streets. Way more cutthroat than the streets because you don't really have any recourse. You don't have any remedy. In the streets, it's cutthroat, but you know what you're getting into and you know that there's consequences that come along with it. As a contractor or as a business person, you can go to court, but you can't do nothing to me physically. Technically, you can't, right? And so a lot of these guys, they'll tell me, man, I hate doing this or I hate doing that, or we'll only take this contract if we ain't got nothing else to do. It is imperative, and I cannot illustrate this more to you guys than I am right now. It is imperative that you always pay people on time, even before you pay yourself. Pay your people, pay your contractors, pay your employees, pay the people that is doing work for you, because if you want to maintain a good reputation, there is nothing worse than a bad business reputation. There is nothing worse than a bad business reputation. If you are a restaurant owner, pay your vendors. Don't just running off on the plug is more than just a dope dealer's tree, heroin, fentanyl term. It is a term that happens every single day in business. You have to take care of your people. Take care of your people. Do not meet your obligations, exceed expectations, give people random bonuses, pay them a regular wage, and then also throw a couple gifts in there if you want to, just to let them know that you appreciate them. You have to treat your contractors and treat the people that work for you similarly to how you treat the people that you're in a relationship in real life. You're not listening to me. You have to treat the people that work for you like you are in a real full-blown relationship and you busting them down at night. Maybe that's why some of y'all have such bad relationships with the people that work for y'all, because y'all don't even know how to maintain a relationship in real life. You got to treat people, under promise, over deliver, and then extend grace, while at the same time grooming them and putting them in the best position possible so that they can do their best work. When a woman, for example, don't have to worry about the same things that other women worry about, they often at times give you their best selves because they can dedicate their entire focus to you. When you remove all of the barriers to entry, when people ain't got to worry about money, when people ain't got to worry about whether or not they're going to have a roof over their head, when they know that they're going to get paid from you, they are absolutely going to perform. They can't wait to, Mr. Daniels, let me show you what's going on. And then they come in and they expecting for me to say, because they so used to dealing with other people, they expecting for me to say, oh no, I don't like that, change that, this, that. I don't talk like that to people. I never talk like that to people. Nope. I'll be like, you know what do you recommend? You the expert. I just write the checks. You the expert. Oh, you know what? If you really want the best product, I recommend this. Okay, let's go with that. I'm always a yes and, not a no but. I'm a yes and, not a no but. Yeah, and how about we also take this into consideration? Even when I disagree with somebody that works with me or a contractor, I'm always, okay, you know what? I hear you, yeah. But how about we also take this into consideration? Because, I'm trying to figure out whether or not this makes sense also. I don't just go in and tell people what to do. I lead from the front, not whip them from behind. It's a whole nother way in which you have to master that. And so many people haven't learned these lessons because they haven't worked in corporate America. They haven't humbled themselves and had mentors in their life. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to deal with a relationship, which then translates into every other aspect of your life. So what I'm telling y'all is you have to have a completely different mindset. Communication is an art form. You have to know the difference between when you're in a debate and you're in an interview versus you actually dealing with people that are subjecting themselves to you. People want to do things for you. They want to be useful. They want to go out there and show you their talent. You have to enable them. My job is not to fire you. My job is to figure out whether or not I can put you in the best position possible. And if you don't like it, then you'll nag yourself out and remove yourself from that position. My only rule, and I said this, and we're going to go ahead and get into the show now. My only rule is that I will never force somebody to be somewhere or do something that they don't want to do. That is my main rule. That is the rule that I live by in a relationship. It's the rule that I live by in corporate. It's the rule that I live by in business. And it's the rule that I live by in content creation. I will never force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. I am not going to beg. I'm not going to fight. You're going to have to want to be here, and you're going to be rewarded accordingly, according to your loyalty, according to your work ethic, and according to your dedication. That's my only rule. Everything else, malleable. I can figure it out. We can work together. Hey, you know what? You messed up. We all mess up. We're not going to worry about that. How can we fix it? How can we learn from this? How can we continue to grow? That's how you got to go about leading. That's how you have to lead in your household. That's how you got to take care of the people that's around you. That's why I have an unwavering loyalty from the people that is around me. Even when I spot a op, we able to weed that out quickly because you going to show yourself because you don't know how to operate in this conducive environment because you so used to operating in toxicity. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. You force me to listen to you every day. I love you. That's why I love you, Trini Life. Let's get started with the show, all right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a phenomenal book. Let me read the super chats. We're going to get started with the show. Miss Crow T. Shetty in the building said, this is for the best morning show on earth. Shout out to Miss Crow T. Shetty. I appreciate you. P. Shank in the building says, good morning, Mr. Anton Daniels in the Millionaire Morning Show. Shout out to P. Shank. I appreciate you also. Cartier 82 says, women built like they're full of preservative. That's from last night's show, if anybody is trying to figure that out. Full of preservatives. AD call it Foundation Focus. Shout out to Foundation Focus. I appreciate y'all. Frederico Alpadrino says, buenos dias. Oops, forgot this is still America. Hey, y'all. What up, though, big dog? I appreciate y'all. Also want to give a shout out to my dog ESDC in the building. And then Mike That Dude. Shout out to Mike That Dude on Cash App. I appreciate y'all both. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Let's rock out, y'all. Let's see how we go. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't think that we need to break down each individual segment of its own, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop with what's going on out here in these streets. First things first, Bay Area residents are absolutely fed up. They tired, boss. They fed up with these street takeovers. Take a look.
Loud, annoying, and disruptive. A large group of dirt bikes and ATVs rumbled through San Francisco and Oakland yesterday. The riders causing traffic issues and sparking lots of concerns from neighbors. Today, those neighbors say they are fed up with the disrespect and the chaos. And they're asking city leaders on both sides of the bay to do something. Here's NBC Bay Area's Sergio Quintana.
At Valencia and 23rd Streets in San Francisco, video shows dirt bikers popping wheelies on the center bike lane and doing donuts in the intersection.
And it's always as usual suspects. I want y'all to know that. Stop saying that it's a stereotype if you always the ones that's doing it.
And it went on and on and on, and there was no stop to it.
For more than 90 minutes, San Francisco resident Sharky Laguana shot video of the group of about 100 motorbikers take over the intersection. Just before their arrival in the Mission, they had done similar stunts in the Castro neighborhood. Traffic there ground to a crawl. One of the cars that seemed to be associated with the motorbike group parked in the street, blocking the F-line streetcar for a few minutes. In video shot in the Mission, police did eventually show up with lights and sirens. The bikers rode off, some even doing spin-outs right in front of the officers along the way. Laguana says he's used to the occasional group of dirt bikers riding through the city, but this was next level.
They have to be held accountable. If they're not held accountable, it's just going to keep happening, and it's just going to get worse.
Do you think it's gotten worse?
Oh, 100%.
Videos posted on social media seem to have touched a nerve with residents who say they're tired of the noisy bikes that occasionally take over parts of the city. Supervisor Rafael Mandelman says City Hall is well aware of the concerns raised by residents, but says police chasing them may cause more harm than good. In 2021, when the CHP responded to a pack of motorbikers on the Bay Bridge, most escaped by riding against traffic. A passenger on one of the bikes was thrown off and killed when the cyclist tried hopping a median barrier to get away. Before the Sunday mass of riders arrived in San Francisco, it's not clear if some of the same group was in Oakland. Police arrived in several police cars in response to reports of a robbery at a local gas station where the group was congregating. One person was taken into custody. In San Francisco, pictures and videos of the motorbikers and cars that seemed to be associated showed they didn't have license plates. According to the San Francisco Police Department, they have made no arrests, but they are investigating to try to figure out who all was involved.
When you let things go unchecked it gets exponentially worse because nobody fears you. Fear is a very useful tool in making examples out of people. Listen, if something happened to you while you committing the crime, you deserve it. And so y'all gotta take the handcuffs off the police and let them do their job. Let them do their job, or these people are gonna come through and they're gonna ruin your neighborhoods, and they don't care anything about you. But that's all right. You know what? Keep handcuffing the police. Y'all deserve everything that you get as a result of what's going on. In addition to that, a deli, long-term delis, large long-term delis, and all of these businesses are thinking about continuing to close, citing safety concerns and homelessness. Check it out.
The owner of the landmark Los Angeles deli, Langer, says he might be closing it all down because of crime in the area. Norm Langer says he's not getting anywhere with City Hall to do something about the issues stemming from nearby MacArthur Park. KTLA's Alina Bovian live in LA's Westlake District. Actually inside Langer's. Good morning, Alina.
Good morning, Jess. That's right. We are inside, and we can see that this place is still vibrant, still popular with its customers. So it's not a matter of not having enough business. It's simply an issue of safety, and this really is a symptom of a broader picture. Now, I do want to show you something. The reason for this talk today about the closure is because of an article that was written in the LA Times, and that over there is Mr. Norm Langer. He also spoke to the Times several times before, talking about his family business. Right next door, you can see all the accolades that this restaurant has received over the years. So this place really is a big deal, and people love it for the food and the nostalgia, the ambiance. But now this place may be closing after 77 years of business. But
that's insane. To have a place that has been open for 77 years in business closed due to safety concerns and homelessness.
You can see inside here this morning, it is still very busy. This is a beloved establishment. The owner, 79-year-old Norm Langer, grew up working in this restaurant alongside his family. Traditional deli food, famous for their pastrami sandwich. And right across the street is MacArthur Park, also a very famous spot. Norm Langer telling the LA Times in a recent article, the neighborhood has just changed so much over the years that it's tough to stay open. The crime, the gang activity, the homeless population. Langer also telling this Times it's been an uphill battle to get city officials to clean up the streets, to restore public safety and make MacArthur Park a destination again rather than a place to avoid. He's been asking for things like improved lighting, increased police patrols, social services outreach, and targeted cleanup efforts here. Now also take a look at this. This is from Andrew Wolf, also telling the Times about the situation here. He says you'll see bodies on top of each other, completely passed out with the stench of fentanyl everywhere. And as you look up to the alley, there's a fog from everyone smoking, and people are walking around like zombies. It is a disgrace that it all exists now.
And that's real. And that is 100% the truth. They not capping. They not putting on. They not trying to exaggerate the situation. That is 100% the truth. It is basically become like a movie out west. The Wild Wild West is the Wild Wild West again. It is lawless, carelessness, and it is crazy to think that that happens inside of the United States of America. Well, we got a president, we got Congress members, we got governors, city council people, judges. You telling me that these people can't work together to eventually clean up our streets to make it safer, and tourism is a big thing, and people no longer want to go out there. We just did a report yesterday about the hotel that's next to the airport in Oakland that just recently closed after what, 60 years or 50 years in business or something like that? Somebody said didn't know that fentanyl had a smell. Listen, homelessness has a smell. There is a certain stench. I smell it every day when I go into certain areas in order to pay my tax to the streets and make sure that certain people is taken care of. There's a certain stench that comes along with a certain way that you live your life. Homelessness has a certain stench. Death has a certain stench. If you've ever smelled it before, if you've ever smelled death, it has a stench to it. It is a certain smell that is associated with it, depending on where you at and how you operate. Drug use, certain alleys, when people piss everywhere, it has a certain stench. If y'all ever been in a project hallway and you going up and down and you know that people piss in the hallways and stuff like that, it has a certain stench. It is a certain smell that comes along with this stuff. And I often attribute it to, when I associate it with, spirits. Spirits. I associate it with having a certain spirit on you, a certain level of addiction on you. But anyways, that's what's happening over there out west. And then in San Jose, right, we've been staying out west for a little bit. Chicago, we're going to come back and visit y'all. New York, I'm coming through. Don't worry about it. In San Jose, a woman and a child was killed by a wrong-way driver.
On a South Bay highway tonight, 2 people are dead after a truck going the wrong way collides with another vehicle.
Was there any level of intoxication at this point that's undetermined?
Tonight, we have just learned that the victims are a 14-year-old boy and a 47-year-old woman. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Meebeck.
And I'm Betty Yu. California Highway Patrol says the driver of a truck was traveling southbound on the northbound lanes and hit a Tesla head on. Take a look at this new dashcam video posted tonight on Reddit. It shows the wrong way driver barreling down Highway 85, speeding past other drivers before the deadly crash. The collision happened just after 3:30 p.m. on Highway 85, south of Highway 87 by Santa Teresa Boulevard. On Highway 85, those lanes on Highway 85 are back open tonight. KTVU South Bay reporter LaMonica Peters joins us live from San Jose with the very latest on the investigation.
Betty, as you just mentioned, Highway 85, it has reopened. It reopened just around 8 o'clock tonight. And we did just learn that the victims in this crash were a 47-year-old woman and a 14-year-old boy. The other driver involved was 39-year-old Duncan McQuarrie of Orlando, and he was taken to a nearby hospital.
They always survive. They always survive, no matter how fast they're going, no matter what their soberness level is. The perpetuator of the crime, the person that's driving a 5,000-pound missile the wrong way down the street, barreling down the freeway, they always survive, and they get the most innocent of people. They never get the killer. Ah, man, the killer just so happened to be driving down the street and hit a wrong way driver that was drunk driving. Both of them passed out, and they no longer with us. That never happens. It's always a woman and a child, a family, a 4-year-old that burns away in a fiery crash or some crap. They always just get taken away. Oh, and they got taken away with minor injuries and minor scratches to the hospital. Look at that.
This is what's left of a Tesla car after being hit head-on by a man driving this white Toyota Tacoma pickup truck Monday afternoon.
Some of the initial calls that came in were reporting a white pickup truck that was traveling in the wrong direction, was traveling southbound in the northbound lanes. We had officers who were getting in position to stop that vehicle, and then we had the crash.
California Highway Patrol says a woman driving with a passenger were in the Tesla and both died at the scene. The driver of the pickup truck was taken to a nearby hospital with major injuries. CHP officer Ross Lee says thankfully no one else was hurt, but witnessing the incident can have a lasting effect.
Every day, y'all. Sometimes it's not even your fault. Sometimes you're not even the person that's committing the crime or doing something. You just going down the street, heading to basketball practice with your mama, and next thing you know, you see a Toyota Tacoma just coming to end your life. Be careful. Be careful. Live every single day like it's your last. Leave it all on the flow. Don't leave nothing to chance. Don't think that tomorrow is promised to anybody. Make sure that you tell the people that you know, and it's not to say that this is going to happen, but in a general sense, make sure you tell the people that you know that you love them. Show love to the people that surround you. Stop having so many grudges and feeling some type of way about people. Honestly, that is my true lasting thought from this. Stop having grudges against people. Stop thinking that everybody is doing you wrong. Have a level of forgiveness. That don't mean be stupid and have people out here taking advantage of you, but forgive people and enjoy everything. Enjoy every single day. Do the thing that's right, but at the same time, enjoy every single day, because you just never know. You gonna be gone. They gonna be going to the hospital, and they gonna be out tomorrow talking about, man, I don't know what happened. I need to be forgiven for my crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your Quick Hits. Let me read a couple of the super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get it popping with the real show. Anike, shout out to Miss Budget, says, I need this advice. I needed this advice. Literally going through this issue with my subordinate. Appreciate you every time. Hashtag to the chasers. Make sure y'all join the Patreon. Link is in the description, y'all. Frederico Al Padrino says, and some of y'all want to meet up in Kamala Newsom's California. We got to go out there. We got to go out there to LA. We're going to go to the good parts, though. Poogie friend Ray Ray says, got to be careful around the homeless. I'll never forget the day the 6 or 7 jumped me and whooped me like I was the pill man. Still have PTSD from it. That's crazy. Neutral is in the building. Shout out to Neutral. Neutral says, a few wrong way crashes in New York, too, including the mom who killed her 9-year-old son. What's up with the drivers lately? I don't know, man. It's almost like a spirit that's in the air. Chat for more says, good morning, AD from California. Just sent an email about a secret meeting. Check it out. Need that objective view. All right, I got you, big dog. I'll check that out. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let's go ahead and get it popping, all right? Tulsi decided that she wanted to embrace. Shout out to Annie Marie. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. Tulsi said that she wanted to switch sides. So many people are mad with her on the blue side. I think that Tulsi is probably one of the most intelligent women in politics today. And she got that storm. She got that storm streak in her hair. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me play the speech for y'all, and then we're going to add more context as far as why she decided to endorse Trump for president.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Aloha. I know we got Hawaii in the house here. There we go. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, my brothers and sisters in uniform, especially on this day of all days. I had the privilege of joining President Trump this morning at Arlington Cemetery.
Oh, the rogue look, my bad, the rogue
where
look.
He joined 2 Gold Star families and loved ones of Staff Sergeant Hoover and Sergeant G.
Thank you for the super chat.
Both of whom were 2 of the 13 killed in the Abbey Gate attack 3 years ago today in Kabul.
And she's intelligent.
And I can tell you, as we were there, as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, joining these Marines' loved ones, I felt the sorrow that he shared with them in their loss. I felt and saw his sincere appreciation for these servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price and their loved ones who continue to grieve to this day. This is personal for me, as I know it is for so many of you here. This is real. It's not just words. I first deployed to Iraq in 2005 with the Hawaii Army National Guard as a member of Charlie.
Look at how she said Hawaii. Hey, when you like somebody, when somebody is nice, you find every reason of why they're doing something right, don't you? Look at the way that she says Hawaii. Oh.
As those of you who were deployed during that time know, it was the height of the war, and sadly, we took many casualties. And every day we were confronted with that high human cost of war and that sadness as we boarded the plane when we left, that we were leaving some of our brothers and sisters behind, only to lose others when we got home to suicide. So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before.
I was saying this yesterday, right? And I think the clip wound up dropping when we was doing the show last night. But I was saying this yesterday, and I was saying, sometimes we can't appreciate what we had until we're no longer in it. And the fact that we are involved in so many different proxy wars and we're on the brink of war with so many nations in such a short period of time is crazy to me. Like, have y'all really noticed and took into consideration that over the last 3.5 years, we basically inserted ourselves into so many different altercations and playing God. And meanwhile, like the things that we could be involved in, that we could help eradicate, like over in Sudan, nobody talks about what happens over in Sudan. No longer is anybody talking about what's happening over in Haiti. Haiti, roughshod. Sudan, nobody pays attention to it. One of the biggest genocides that's happening on the face of this earth because people are not familiar with international relations. And it's not popular to talk about it on these networks. I broke it down on one of my Millionaire Morning shows. We are basically involved in so many different things that we don't even need to be involved in today. It's insane. This was not happening 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. This was not happening. We were literally in negotiations with Putin, Kim Jong-un. We don't even acknowledge North Korea except for to say, hey, listen, look at that little over there. We don't even like that. He was literally shaking hands and having conversations with Kim Jong-un. And we genuinely were more focused on what's happening in the United States of America and how we can prosper here versus participating in all of these proxy wars in order to profit in ways that we don't even know of because we're not even familiar with the real agenda is. We had unprecedented peace at that time. People was coming home. More people was probably signing up for the military because they wasn't afraid of going to war at that time.
This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief. Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat. Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him.
Called election interference, and that's how they started to influence. So we're going to go into that. As you can see at the bottom of the screen where it says that Mark Zuckerberg admits pressure from the Biden-Harris administration on, in a way, manipulating what's going on in the election. But we're going to get to that. We're going to deep dive into that.
I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president.
Y'all don't, it's amazing to me how people think that, and they look at the presentation layer and they say, oh my God, you know, Kamala Harris. And they don't think that this woman is basically pulling strings behind the scenes of what is going on in this. Y'all think that, okay. This reminds me of the conversation from last night. Y'all think that she was just chilling in the White House for the last 3.5 years and nothing was going on? Let me guess. Y'all think that Sleepy Joe was walking around making all the decisions and determining what was happening in our country? So she was just sitting back with her feet up, kicking it, talking to Doug. Hey, Dougie. What do y'all think? What do y'all think that they've been doing over this last 3.5 years. While Tulsi was getting added to the terror watch list, and Andre Diggins and Fannie Willis was going up there to meet inside of the White House where it says they met with the vice president. What do y'all think that they was just doing? I think y'all was just hanging out, Oval Office, having lunch, planting flowers, meeting with the alphabet community and all of these people in order to have a celebration on the White House lawn? Jesus Christ.
We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future. I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people.
And people are mad at that. They are mad at rogue-looking Tulsi because she first obliterated Kamala Harris in 2019 and absolutely dashed her hopes in ever becoming president of the United States of America until they gave her to us as a DEI hire. And now she's switching sides and she's saying, listen, I don't care about party politics. I only care about who's best as president of the United States of America and why we should vote for them. Here's some more context as she showed up on Fox News to have a conversation with them about why she endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Joining us now is Tulsi Gabbard, former 2020 Democrat presidential candidate and Fox News contributor. Tulsi, you were there today along with President Trump. How important was it for him to be there today?
You know, one thing that ran through my mind as I was there, joining President Trump and honoring the ultimate sacrifice that these 13 service members paid, sharing the sorrow that these Gold Star families still feel and will always feel at the loss of their loved ones. Meanwhile, where is Kamala Harris? Where is Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden's on vacation, and Kamala Harris is running a campaign based on joy and vibes and laughing her way around. I can tell you who wasn't laughing were those families, some of the survivors of that attack in this disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. This is personal for me, Judge, and so many other Americans who know firsthand the cost of war. We've seen and experienced it firsthand. We know how important it is to have a commander-in-chief who values every single one of our lives and who has the strength and the courage to exercise all means of diplomacy, meeting with dictators, allies, adversaries, partners in the pursuit of peace, recognizing that war is always and should always be a last resort. I endorse President Trump today because he has those qualities and he's proven that he is that commander-in-chief. Kamala Harris has proven she is not. We're closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, closer to World War III because of Harris and Biden and their policies.
Let me ask y'all a question. I see my dog, Eric Daniels and Aaron and all of them. I see all of these people feeling some type of way about it because if she'd endorsed Kamala Harris, y'all would have been celebrating it, but she didn't, and so that's the way that it goes. Here's my question to y'all. Since the Democratic National Convention, and we know that Joe Biden did one way in, one way out. He was gone. He was there on Monday. He was gone on Monday. He was there on Monday. He was gone on Monday. We ain't seen Joe. We don't know what Joe doing. Joe is allegedly on vacation, even though we got turmoil all across the board and all across the United States of America. All right, here's my question. Where is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Since the Democratic National Convention, right? She gave her speech on Thursday. We reviewed it on Friday. It's Tuesday. J.D. Vance pulled up on NBC. Trump is over there in Detroit. They everywhere. They all across America. Sometimes I don't know whether or not they on the West Coast or the East Coast. They just everywhere. They crisscrossing the country. They pulling up to the ops. They taking questions. They honoring troops. They having conversations. They getting endorsed. They met up with RFK and then they met up with Tulsi right after that and got both of their endorsements. Here's my question: Where the F is Kamala and Tim Walz right now? Ain't took a question, ain't met with a reporter, ain't had a conversation, just riding high. Listen, we did a good speech. I will give you that. Kamala Harris did an invigorating speech. Didn't have any substance, but it definitely resonated apparently with the voters. My question, where they at? Where they at though? Where are they at? And when are they going to take a question? It's the Biden basement strategy and it works. Where they at though? Where they at? Nobody can ever say that, again, that Trump has ever dodged any smoke from anybody, and J.D. Vance is the same. J.D. Vance like, what up though? What's going on? Where they at? Where they been at for the last 5 days?
You know, Tulsi, a mother of one of the slain troops spoke out against Kamala Harris today. Take a listen.
Vice President Harris is now running to be commander-in-chief. I wonder, do you have a message for her?
You are with the whole administration in all of this. You hold the same accountability as President Biden does. You were right beside him in making these decisions. This administration has tried to sweep it under the rug. And that's absolutely not going to work for this nation.
You know, Tulsi, your response to that?
You know, I want to know if Kamala Harris has personally called every one of these 13 families and the families of those who came home injured. There was a...
Nope, she only called the black families. The lady that recently got killed by the police officer over there near Chicago, because if it ain't a photo op, if it's not something that she can get visibility from, she's not going to participate in it. That's why they won't mention Laken Riley's name. Oh, y'all thought that I was going to let that go? That's why they're not going to mention Laken Riley's name. They're going to have a Central Park 5 over there at the campaign doing their little speeches at the Democratic National Convention. The Central Park 5, let me tell you something about the Central Park 5. Let me tell you why I don't care nothing about them. First of all, they some simps, especially the one that was talking to my homegirl Delicious. You know what I'm saying? He got finessed out of a bag. Secondly, they don't have the same smoke for the judges, for the prosecutors, for the people that actually put them in jail, but yet they want to have a conversation about something that they think that Trump said that was taken completely out of context. But they ain't got no smoke for any of the people that actually jailed him and locked him up and threw away the key. If it ain't a photo op, she ain't showing up. Ain't got no conversations about Laken Riley. Never been accountable for what's happening at the border. Never had no accountability for how they pulled out of Afghanistan. Nothing. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. That's what I call them. I call them the Central Park Simps. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. Oh, y'all don't like that part, huh? Y'all don't like that part. Y'all don't like, why? Because I can say what I want to say and I'm not owned by anybody, and so don't nobody tell me what to do. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. Out there hanging around, being step baby daddies, being step crash dummies, giving all of y'all money that y'all got in y'all lawsuit away to these chicks that's for the streets. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. Let me hear more what Tulsi got to say. We got to get into Mark Zuckerberg starting to expose the Harris-Biden campaign.
Triple amputee there today, there to honor the loss of his brothers and sisters. Has she called them to apologize for the decision that they made that resulted in this disastrous withdrawal and an explosion and an attack that took these 13 service members' lives that was completely preventable? Kamala Harris is completely unfit to serve as our commander-in-chief. voters, regardless of whether you're Democrats or Republicans, need to know that truth, because that's really what this election is about, Judge. It's not about Democrats versus Republicans.
Right.
It's about having a president who stands for freedom, peace, and prosperity, which is Donald Trump, versus having a president in Kamala Harris who attacks our freedoms and censors us and uses political retaliation, who has pushed us to the brink of war, and who's created this economic hardship for Americans across the country. That's really the choice that we have before us. And for me, as a service member, as a veteran, it's a very clear choice. I love our country. I cherish peace and freedom, and I'm supporting Donald Trump in this election so that he can be our commander-in-chief once again.
You know, it's interesting, Tulsi. CNN today tried to attack Trump for attending the wreath ceremony. Take a listen.
Is he politicizing these soldiers'
Shout out to
deaths?
Raymond
Should he even be at
Santana.
Arlington National Cemetery if he's going to make some
me pull
politics
this
out of
up.
this?
I just look at President Biden, under whose leadership we actually ended and made the tough decision to end our nation's longest war. That was the right decision by President Biden.
You know, I guess the question, Tulsi, should have been, why wasn't Biden in attendance as well? But I want to ask you, just
shout out to Raymond Santana, the Central Park simp in the building, the biggest simp of them all. Let me show you. Let me show you what it's like. Hold on. I got to make sure that I help y'all realize what's happening. This was him. I got me a bad one, y'all. Hey, I called D. D, that's my homegirl. I done known D for a long time. She used to be here in Detroit all the time. I called D. I said, what's going on, girl? I said, we might have to have a conversation. Anton, I can't have no conversation on. Okay, cool. Don't worry about it. You got it, baby. Get your money. Get your money, baby. Get your Central Park simp and get it popping. We got to get that government money and bring that back to Daddy. Daddy's home. Oh. Shout out to the Central Park simps in the building. I appreciate you for continuing to contribute into Detroit's economy. Let me go ahead and read some of these. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. You know what I'm saying? Get that settlement money. He was over there taking care of her children. Oh, God, what a Central Park simp. Yes. Ray. I call him Ray. I don't call him Raymond. I call him Ray. What up, Ray? Ray. I am Annie Marie says, best morning show. Let's give it. Yo, I'm going to say what I want to say when I want to say it. It's just a little bit different. That's why they don't want to give me that morning show on a major network. They don't know what I'm going to say. They don't know if I'm going to call them a Central Park simp or not. Turd Fergberg in the building says, morning, Anton, let's get these. Is the likes low? Oh, no. We got more than 3,000 people in here and the likes is low. Jesus, what is going on out here in these streets? Shout out to A7 Keys in the building says, the Billionaire Morning Show is the most gourted morning show daily. Come have a seat at the table with the Chasers. Make sure y'all get y'all Patreon memberships immediately. Where are we at? Let me see. We should be on a journey to 10K. Because the people is running it up. There's no reason why we should not be past 9K and going towards, okay. We getting there. Journey to 10. They say Anton. Hold on. Let me make sure that y'all can see that. I know that the light is a little brighter than usual. They said Anton. You not the biggest. I said where? Who not the biggest? Who's not the biggest? Huh? I got more bag chasers than they got subscribers. Shout out to the Chasers. Come get you some money. Baby. Let's stop being broke out here in these streets and let me show you how to get a bag up. You know what I'm saying? Journey to 10K. Make sure, come join the winning team. It's a reason why we winning over here. Let's see what we got going over here. Well building journey building says, I would say Tulsi will make an excellent Secretary of State in the second Trump administration. Her diplomacy skills are absolutely unparalleled. I think that she's going to get a cabinet seat if Trump wins the president of the United States of America. 100% I think she's going to be a part of his cabinet. Frederico says, about to start work. Bless and abundance to y'all. In Jesus' name, amen. 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 Sad Boy Panda says, Trump did an hour interview with Sean Ryan, a former Navy SEAL CIA, about the state of the government. I have to check that out. Smalltima, Talltima, Recalltima says, hey, my name is Doug. Hey, Dougie. Shout out to you. J Dub says, we have 17 merchant marine ships being sidelined due to manpower issues. Our Navy is now at risk, and we have a national security issue, and we're not prepared to fight any wars, bro. We can participate. And proxy is always good. Country Boy Finesse in the building says, always a great education. Thank you, my friend. I Aspire says, Tulsi looked like one of them 101 Dalmatians villains. Don't she? That is true. Lil Black Duck 2001 says, Trump missed an opportunity by not making Tulsi the VP. No, he didn't. He did it the right way. He's going to win the Midwest, and that's how he had to do it. A-Man01 says, she said once we vote her in, she will close the borders. Interesting. My name is Corey in the building says, Central Park 5 got an invite, but not one for Jamal True Love. Miss Salad in the building says she make him look like Detroit one Coney dog. A.R. Smitty says, did he not see Flavor of Love? Sir Darkness TV is in the building says, don't forget the dim screwed up Benghazi. I know, facts. We had air assets that could have helped with the enemy waves. Joe Gunn says, bad be on a discount. Give me that money. Live Your Purpose cover says he thought she actually loved him. Love is subjective, baby. Stephen F says, can we get an update on the National Association of Black Journalists on that VP Harris sit down? Ain't no sit downs. Ain't no sit downs, and it's all going to be softball questions. How is it says you touched on taxes in Canada? That was just a tip of the iceberg. Cap gains is now 66% on property sold that is not your primary residence. Shout out to Messi says, Bag Chasers is the best community on Patreon. That's a fact. That's a fact, though. That's a fact. Straight up. Shout out to my dog project. You know I got rich friends, right? You know I got rich friends, right? I did my year sub for the Chasers. We in there. Shout out to my Chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description. You missing out. You missing out. You missing out. I said I was thinking about giving away a whole car this year. A brand new one. No raffles. Just letting the Bag Chasers pick out who deserving more. I'm thinking about it. I think about it. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's continue to break down this show. And so we want to get into Mark Zuckerberg. Now, let me share this with you guys before we actually get into the video. Let me share this with you guys. I want to make sure that we all on the same page. So Mark Zuckerberg is now admitting to pressure from the Harris-Biden administration that he had to cave in on censorship on laptops. We all know what that laptop story is. And the pandemic, that he had to push an agenda and then censor things and then slant things towards the left in order to benefit who? The Biden-Harris campaign. These people, in my personal opinion, are dirty. These people, in my personal opinion, are dirty. He's admitting, and it's starting to come out on multiple different platforms, he's admitting that he had to bow to the pressure over the vid and more. Let's deep dive into it a little bit. Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg says he regrets in a letter he wrote, and it's starting to hit the waves this morning. He said he regrets bowing to what he said was pressure from the Biden administration to censor content on Facebook and Instagram during the pandemic. In a letter he sent to the U.S. House Committee chair, that means that you fed up. When you write a whole letter and you send it to the House Committee, the U.S. House, that means that you fed up and you don't want to be bothered no more. You tired of being pressured. You tired of being told what to do. You tired of being controlled. You tired of being manipulated and controlling what's happening during these administrations and during these elections. He said senior officials, including some from the White House, pressured Meta to remove content in 2021. Goes on to say the White House has defended its actions, saying it encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety. Mark Zuckerberg also said his firm briefly demoted content relating to Joe Biden's son. Let me say that again. Mr. Zuckerberg said that his firm briefly demoted content related to Joe Biden's son, Hunter, ahead of the 2020 election after the FBI warned of a potential Russian disinformation operation. Question: is this not election interference? Do we not see senior officials from the White House pressuring him? Because I want to know if y'all think that all of these people is just so awesome and oh my God, we love you, Joe, and I had to re-love you, Joe. And Kamala Harris was up there like this. Oh my God. As she pushed him over the edge out of the White House. The content did not turn out to be a part of such operation, Mrs. Zuckerberg said. Addressing the vid content, Mrs. Zuckerberg wrote in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain vid content, including humor and satire. We made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. He said that he and Meta would be ready to push back if something similar happened in the future. His letter was addressed to Jim Jordan, the chair of House Judiciary Committee, which has been investigating content moderation on online platforms. Republicans said the letter was a big win for free speech. He said in a statement issued to website Politico, the White House stood by its actions. It said, our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and private actors should take into account the effects that their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present. Let's go into the Hunter Biden conversation. Mr. Zuckerberg's comments on Hunter Biden refer to the story of a laptop that was abandoned by the president's son at a repair shop in Delaware, as first reported by the New York Post. The paper claimed emails found on the computer suggested that his business abroad had influenced U.S. foreign policy while his father was vice president. Wait a minute. I thought that the vice president, according to Plies, busted baby. I thought that the vice president had no control over what is happening as far as policy, casting final votes or tie-breaking votes. I thought that they didn't determine what happened in foreign policy. I thought that Kamala Harris had no say-so on what was going on in foreign relations at our border, that she wasn't the border czar, that she gets no credit for anything that happens in the White House. She was just existing. The newspaper claimed emails found by the computer suggested that his business abroad had influenced U.S. foreign policy while his father was the vice president. Goes on to say the president and his family has denied wrongdoing. The story became notable. Right-wing talking point in the U.S. appointed contention as some social media platforms censored the content. I wonder why. I wonder why they censored the content. We've changed our policies and processes to make sure, in retrospect, they said they shouldn't have demoted the story, and they've changed their policies and processes to make sure that it doesn't happen again. He also said that he did not plan to make any more contributions to supporting electoral infrastructure. In 2020, he donated $400 million via his philanthropic Chan Zuckerberg's initiative, which is intended to help the government offices conduct the election during the pandemic. My goal is to be neutral and not play a role on one way or another, or to even appear to be playing a role. So I don't plan on making similar contributions to this during this election cycle. In my opinion, Let me just play the content. Let me play the stories. I want to get reactions to this. Obviously, we know that certain platforms are not going to play this at all, but I want to get reactions to this. Let me go ahead and play the content, and y'all can determine for yourself what's happening out in these streets. It's unfortunate. It's absolutely unfortunate.
Mark Zuckerberg admitting Facebook was pushed by the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans' content. In a letter sent to the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, the Meta CEO explained, quote, in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. Enes Kanter Freedom is a human rights activist, former NBA player, and he joins me now. Enes, great to see you as always. Rings a little hollow to me 4 years after the fact. What are your thoughts?
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's good for him that he finally came out and said something, but I think it's a little too late, buddy. This is an election interference and treason. I hear many people saying that this is a crime against humanity. The question is, I actually want to ask this to our audience. Does he actually regret it, or is it because he got caught? I think Meta and Mark Zuckerberg should be held accountable for interfering in our election. And please do not let them off the hook. They knew what they were doing, and they thought they can expect to get away with it. This is complete and direct violation of the First Amendment, and it is unacceptable.
Well, the mea culpas didn't stop there from Zuckerberg. He also mentioned suppressing information, speaking of, election interference, about Hunter Biden's laptop. But bigger picture here, Enes, what do you make of this general acceptance by the left and the governments that are leftist, if you will, to censor speech and basically to use the government and the courts in order to do so? I'm looking at what's happening over in France with the Telegram CEO, and it's almost like if the left doesn't agree with something, they're not confident anymore just saying, oh, we don't like that, stop it. They're going to use their power to stop it. What do you make of that?
Exactly. They're not confident enough. I'm so happy that, Elon Musk finally, took over Twitter.
Oh, okay.
And now we can actually have some free speech in our world, not only in our country, but in our world. This is getting crazy, but to me, this is definitely unacceptable.
It's not right. Speaking of something that's unacceptable to you, the NBA's relationship with China. Well, those ties are back under the microscope after stars Jimmy Butler, James Harden, Paul George, Kyle Kuzma played in a game in Hong Kong, shooting hoops under the Chinese flag, and our government's endorsing it. U.S. Ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns, stating, quote, basketball is a bridge between Americans and Chinese. Thank you, Jason Collins and Sam Vincent, both former Boston Celtics, for your terrific work in China for the U.S. mission. As a former Boston Celtic yourself, my friend, will the NBA or, quite frankly, the Biden-Harris administration ever acknowledge the true threat that China is to America, or are the Bucks coming in just too nice to ignore?
My first message to all the NBA players is do not become part of their propaganda. You might have good intentions. I don't know. You might have good intentions. You might want to go out there and make fans happy and play basketball, but you're literally becoming a part of that genocidal regime. Yao Ming was the one that organized this whole game, but he is literally the lapdog for the Chinese Communist Party, and he's going to do whatever he can to make them happy. The one thing makes me sick to my stomach is all these NBA players, right, that talks about social justice in America. They said, well, America is horrible and we got a lot of work to do. And even some of them calls America trash. But they go to a country where there's a genocide happening right now, and it's a fact. All these 10 NBA players, I think it went up to 10 recently, have now shoe deals with one of the biggest Chinese company, which involves slave labor.
Shout out to Dwayne Wade. Shout out to Dwayne Wade and all of these other current and former NBA players. You know why? Because they don't really stand for anything. The only thing that matters is this. For the right amount of this, they'll do anything. they'll overlook anything. For the right amount of this, they'll overlook and do anything.
Joining me now is Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez. He's a member of the House Armed Services, Homeland Security, and China Select Committees. Congressman, I want to get your reaction to Kirby's comments. And also I want to add this, that Tulsi Gabbard, who was with former President Trump yesterday in Arlington, said the Harris-Biden administration has us embroiled in multiple wars around the world and closer to nuclear war now than ever before. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace.
No, she's absolutely right. And it's because of the weakness of the Biden-Harris administration. That's the reason why the world is aflame today. And we face other threats, too. China is also posing a significant threat to Taiwan. Look, if President Trump wins in November, that intervening, 90 days is going to be a very, very trying time for the United States, because our enemies are going to know that that's the time to strike while Biden and Harris are still in the White House. And so, yeah, she's absolutely correct. And for Kirby to say that, Biden is totally, connected, I mean, come on. I mean, do you really believe that? I mean, after that debate performance, after you've seen Joe Biden, how crippled he really is, that he's really connected and he's making the decisions, I don't buy that for a second.
Well, then who is it? Lloyd Austin? Is it
it's
Jake
somebody
Sullivan?
inside the White House?
Yeah, somebody. Jake Sullivan's in China, but who's leading this then? if it's not Biden,
I would think that somebody there's a couple of people inside the White House are really calling the shots, and that's what's happening. And Joe Biden is in California having a pretty good time. I don't think he's connected at all. To be honest with you, I don't think he has the capacity to be connected at all at this time. And then Harris is even worse. I mean, I don't think she's calling the shots either, and I'm glad she's not calling the shots. And maybe some professionals inside the White House are calling the shots, but I doubt that either Biden or Harris are calling the shots right now.
All right, well, let's talk about the border crisis. Americans are living near the border in Texas and Arizona, and they're now talking with Fox Digital on Vice President Harris's record as, well, borders are. Watch what they're telling us.
If they get in there, she won't do anything. It's not going to change. It's going to get worse.
The gates, there's no gates. Everything's literally open. People just come across, wait to get picked up, and get sent along somewhere in the U.S.
Buy her and get a new one. She's not doing a good job, or she's not putting her time where she needs to be at right now.
It's non-existent. So from a scale of 0 to 10, I would give her a 0.
The people that's really living through it, not the ones that's the Plies, the Steve Harveys, and all of these people. The people that's really living through it, they'll tell you that they suffering. Their towns are being overran. Resources is going into them. Nobody is stopping anybody at the border. Look. How can you even document how many illegal migrants is crossing over to the border every single day when you're not even catching them? I think that the estimates are insanely low. Insanely low. If they're telling you that it's only 10 to 15 million, I would say that it's probably double that. Because those are just the ones that felt comfortable enough to get processed because they knew that nobody was going to deport them and that they was going to get sent right up to wherever it is that they wanted to go. Chicago, New York, blah, 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 blah. I think that the number is insanely low. 1,000% insanely low. I think that there's way more people here and way more people that crossed over to the border. And you cannot tell me that they've documented and that they can estimate in the millions how many people actually came over here. BS. Nonsense BS. I think that they finessing us as usual. But y'all keep on voting how y'all want to vote and y'all rock out how y'all want to rock out. Let me read a couple of the super chats and then we're going to deep dive over into another subject. Specifically, I think we're going to deep dive into the upcoming debate that we're going to be watching in September. Jeremy H says, AD and Quentin need to be brought to the front for making fun of that. And Island Girl Q, worse for inviting her on. Everybody is a part of the same classes now. They don't have any more special needs classes. Or they say that they're unique and they're special and they have unique talents. They just can't pay attention in school. Jay Hunter Lee says Zuck is coming clean now because he knows Trump is going to win and he doesn't want the heat coming to him. Shout out to Jay Hunter Lee. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who contributes into the platform. Let's continue on with the show. So we got an upcoming debate. We got an upcoming debate between Trump and Kamala Harris. All right. And in that debate, a lot of people is saying that she called them out first, but now she want to change the rules to be different than what it is that he agreed to when he had first debated Biden. Now I remember at a time where it was a lot of people that was saying, well, Trump don't want to agree to the rules to be muted and censored or whatever. And then Trump said, okay, well, cool. I'll take every single rule that y'all want and we'll do it on CNN, which is traditionally a slanted platform towards liberals. They try to act like they play middle of the road, but it is absolutely a slanted platform towards liberals. And we all know this, right? But he agreed. He agreed, like they're doing right now, to go in hostile enemy territory. And he absolutely washed Joe Biden, and there was no way that they can deny it, and they had to concede. So much so that now they've given his replacement, Kamala Harris. And so right now, they can't agree on what is the rules for the debate going forward. Take a look. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
This morning, the Trump and Harris campaigns are sparring over next month's debate. With a 70-day sprint to Election Day, both candidates looking ahead to their first meeting, with Harris holding at least one mock debate, sources say, while Trump turned to social media to complain about the debate host network, and on Monday blasting a proposed rule change that would leave both candidates' microphones on throughout. That's compared to the Trump-Biden debate in June when microphones were muted unless it was their turn to speak. Will the former president still attend?
We're thinking about it. They also want to change the rules. You know, the deal was we keep the same rules. Now all of a sudden they want to make a change in the rules because she can't answer questions.
Trump later seeming to say the Harris proposed change wouldn't be a deal breaker.
Doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably un.
Trump campaigning in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania this week. Harris and her running mate Tim Walz holding a bus tour of Georgia that begins tomorrow.
Thank you.
Trump, looking to get back on offense, will target Harris on key issues this week, including immigration, with breaking news on that front overnight. A federal.
Why would they want to change the rules? That's what my question is. Why would they want to change the rules for something that they agreed to and they set the standard for in the previous debate? Now we know that they're going to posture, they're going to pivot, they're going to act like, oh no, let's just have it. Why would they want to change the rules? She said that she wanted the smoke. Okay, come and get the smoke. And let's keep the same standard. I thought the debate actually went pretty well. I thought that the rules was pretty awesome. Across the board, I think that the rules was awesome. I think that it was a great debate. I think that the rules was awesome. I think that the fact that they allowed for each other to be able to respond and then muted the mics, it made it easier for us to hear things and for us to get to every single subject that they had that was on the docket that ultimately they proposed to the candidates, and we've seen the contrast and comparison of the two. So I don't know why they would change it. If it worked last time, why shouldn't it work this time?
Judge temporarily blocking a Biden administration program that allowed undocumented spouses of American citizens to stay in the U.S. while applying for green cards. The program, one of many immigration flashpoints, had been challenged by Republicans in 16 states. The Trump campaign sees immigration as a vulnerability for Harris, along with national security.
Under Kamala Harris, American veterans are treated worse by far than illegal aliens. Illegal aliens are treated. You ever see them? They stay in hotels. We have veterans sleeping on the street.
The former president using the 3-year anniversary of the bombing of Abbey Gate in Afghanistan, which killed 13 service members, to highlight the Biden administration's chaotic withdrawal from the nation's longest war.
Our country will never be safe again until we have fired those responsible for this disaster. Nobody fired. Worst, most embarrassing, in my opinion, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
Now, both President Biden and Vice President Harris marked that anniversary with statements. The vice president writing of the fallen, quote, "My prayers are with their families and loved ones. My heart breaks for their pain and loss." Chanel?
Garrett, back to the debate. What is Vice President Harris's strategy in wanting to keep the mics on?
Yeah, look, it's really twofold. Harris wants to be able to do something Joe Biden wasn't able to do in the first debate, and that's fact-check Donald Trump in real time. Keeping her mic open means she doesn't get steamrolled. But her campaign also wants Trump's mic open, in part because they want the American people to see what they're calling the unfettered Donald Trump, which is basically what they'd get if he gets reelected. Essentially, they don't think Trump can control himself for 90 minutes. They want millions of viewers to see that. Now,
Cap. She just want to continue to overtalk. And like you said, say, I'm talking. But Trump specifically addressed it. And so we're going to go into that. And I want y'all to hear his response to whether or not he want to keep the same rules or he want to switch the rules up.
We got to have a president. We got to have a real president that's respected. So as to your question, I think it's disgraceful. And I think ABC is a disgrace. I think having Donna Brazile sitting on that panel, and she's the one that gave the answers and the questions to Hillary Clinton before a debate. I think ABC should be shut out. I'd much rather do it on NBC. I'd much rather do it on CBS, frankly. I think CBS is very unfair, but the best of the group. And certainly I'd do it on Fox. I'd even do it on CNN. I thought CNN treated us very fairly the last time. I think Jake Tapper was very fair and Dana Bash was very fair. But when I watched this interview of Tom Cotton, fortunately he's a total pro, he knows what he's doing. And then when I watched the roundtable after that, I said the hostility is crazy. So we're thinking about it. They also want to change the rules. You know, the deal was we keep the same rules. Now all of a sudden they want to make a change in the rules because she can't answer questions. Why doesn't she do a couple of question answer? Why doesn't she do something like I'm doing right now? She can't talk. We can't have another dummy as a president, okay? We cannot have a...
Call it what it is. Stand your ground, big dog. Call it out and address it for what it is. We can't have another dummy as a president. Let's just be real. I love this guy. Forget all of that posturing and trying to say it a certain way and all of this stuff. He just said it straight up. We can't have another dummy as a president because we don't even know who's running the White House right now. We don't even have a clue on who's making decisions in the White House right now. Is it Obama? Is it Kamala Harris? Is it somebody that we're not aware of? Is it some emissary from some other country? I don't know. Who's running the White House? We don't need another dummy in the White House. Let's just keep it real. I like this guy.
Dummy. And the people from Vietnam agree with that.
Okay. Would you want the microphones muted in the debate whenever you're not speaking?
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on. But the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. I mean, ask Biden how it worked out. It was fine. And I think it should be the same. We agreed to the same rules. Same rules and same specifications. And I think that's probably what it should be. But they're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate. But when I looked at the hostility during the weekend, you watch it this week with George Slopadopoulous. And the Vietnamese didn't get that one. You got it. Right? If you didn't get it, I couldn't question it. But no, we want to have fairness. We have to bring fairness back to the country.
I don't see what the big deal is. I think that it's absolutely a logical explanation to say, listen, let's just keep it the way that it is and let's rock out. I don't even agree with the network that we having it on, but let's just rock out and keep the same rules. I don't know why that's such a groundbreaking thing to say that we just want to keep the same rules. And he was right. Why don't they take questions from people, regardless of whether they agree with them or not, or take questions from reporters, unscripted? Why don't they go into ops territory? Why don't they go on Fox News in order to answer questions from somebody that is not going to be on their side, like Steve Harvey, that openly said that he's not going to ask her any hard questions? I don't know why that's such a big deal. Why is that a deal breaker? Why can't anybody get in front of these people in order to take some hard questions or in order to, get to the deep diving of what it is that we really want to know as Americans? Because as of right now, with less than 3 months to go, we don't know. We don't really have answers to a lot of the things that we really are questioning. I don't know. That's just me in particular. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. A-Man01 says, because they don't want to be held accountable. They know what they're doing. They've been dodging this for a long time. Dallas D says, my assumption, Kamala wants mics on so she can try to trigger Trump. in what they may call a misogynistic moment. So she don't want to talk about her own policy. She just want to try to trigger him. Okay. T. Wright says she been watching J.D. Vance and Trump conduct interviews. Now she shook. She should be shook, because we all know that she can't go off script. Sad Boy Panda says Sean Ryan also did an interview with Legend, our Afghanistan counterintelligence, about the withdrawal future bag chaser coming soon. Shout out to the future bag chasers. Hank Wood says the level of ignorance that has been on display in the U.S. over this election has been unparalleled. Kamala hasn't clearly articulated one policy, shaking my head. Thank y'all for continuing to hold me down. I appreciate y'all. Let's continue to rock out. So what we got up next? The question that we've been trying to ask ourselves after she released that disaster of talking points of alleged policy that nobody can wrap their heads around, including economists themselves. The question that we've been trying to ask ourselves, and now we starting to put two and two together, is why is immigration into this country so heavy, illegal immigration into this country so heavy? Number one. And then number two, what's the play? Right? What's the play? And so we still putting it together, and we got to use our context clues, because nobody has really been able to ask the questions to Kamala Harris herself. And since nobody has actually been able to ask the questions, all we have left to go off of is our own assumptions, right? But two things that we want to talk about right now: becoming legal, and then migrants eventually buying homes. Now, my question then becomes, based off of her proposal that the American taxpayers would have to pay for as far as these $25,000 to first-generation buyers, words matter, first-generation buyers and homeowners, who would they go to? And who would it benefit the most? Just curious. Let's deep dive into it a little bit for 10 minutes. Let's talk about what's happening at the border, and a judge recently blocking Biden's policy to a pathway for citizenship for immigrant spouses of the United States of America. Hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
And some breaking news on the immigration front. A federal judge has just dealt a pretty big blow to one of President Biden's immigration policies that offered a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who are married to American citizens. Now, the judge ruling in favor of a legal push from a group of 16 Republican AGs looking to prevent that policy from being implemented. And now a group of immigrants is fighting back. Here's what one of those immigrants told NBC's David Noriega.
I've been in this country since second grade. I went to elementary here. I pledged allegiance to the flag. I took an oath to protect the United States Constitution. I am protecting citizens in my city every day. So what harm are you facing when I'm paying taxes? How is Texas or any states showing harm in here when it's all benefit that spouses of U.S. citizens are contributing?
So let's bring in NBC News correspondent David Noriega with the latest. David,
you guys know I like to use different sources, so I'm not always going to go with Fox News or CNN or ABC or CBS. I like to go through everything.
Called Parole in Place. What was it before this afternoon, and what happens to it now?
Yeah, so the way it works is if you're undocumented and you marry a U.S. citizen, you do have a path to a green card and eventually citizenship, but to apply, you have to leave the country, and that's a huge risk because you risk being permanently separated from your family in doing so. What Parole in Place did was it allowed people to apply for green cards and citizenship without leaving the country, keeping their families together. That's why the administration gave it that name. Now, the government started accepting applications for this program a week ago.
About a week ago. What? Why are they just now starting to implement some of these plans is what I'm trying to figure out. Why are they just now starting to implement some of these plans? And now they're trying to push through and accept these applications and enforce these things all the way through prior to this November election, and eventually whoever takes president of the United States of America in 2025. Now they've got the Keeping American Family Together plan. They're keeping America's families together plan.
Lots of people applied. I've spoken to several people who applied, but now what this judge in Texas has ruled is that for at least 14 days and possibly longer, the federal government cannot grant these applications. So people can still apply, they can still send in the paperwork, and maybe it'll be approved sometime in the future depending on what happens in the court case. But for now, the government cannot grant parole in place. I was just on the phone with Fode, who you saw in that video, literally a few minutes ago when this news came down. He described it as feeling like a knife to the gut. This feeling like this potential huge change in his life was right in front of them and then was taken away again.
And so this is a 14-day stay, and then it goes back to court, I imagine, right? I mean, what happens next?
Right. So the judge can extend the 14-day stay. And I would say that given how quickly he issued this stay, this is a Trump-appointed judge in East Texas. The state of Texas filed this case in a division of the Eastern District of Texas where there are two judges, both Trump appointees. So they were guaranteed to get a Trump-appointed judge. He acted very quickly in slapping down this program. Before the federal government could even reply with a briefing in court, he paused it. So I think that's an indication of where he stands on this case. And I think I don't want to predict, but I wouldn't be surprised if he extended the stay for the entire duration of the court case. The big question then is we're going to run into the election. And if we run into the election and former President Trump is once again president, he's likely to rescind this program altogether, in which case
and then, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board as far as reestablishing what immigration into this country look like and becoming legal in a general sense. But let's pivot for a second. So that's what's happening as far as this judge slapping down this new program where they're just now starting to get applications, right? California is looking to pave the way for illegal migrants to become homeowners.
California has a program meant to help low-income first-time homebuyers get a down payment. William Lajeunesse joins me. William, could this program soon be available to illegal migrants?
Well, Stuart, that is what Democrats are trying to ram through Sacramento right now. It's basically a program that subsidizes qualified illegal immigrants to up to $100,000 each to buy a home. So the program is called the California Dream for All program. It's created to help middle and income home buyers. Now, initially, the program required residents to be here legally, either a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident. But last week, Assembly Democrats overrode Republican opposition, changing that eligibility to say this: an applicant who meets the requirements for a loan under the Home Purchase Assistance Program shall not be disqualified by the agency based solely on the applicant's immigration status.
How is that possible? How is it possible? Because California is helping people purchase homes. So that means that they've used our legislative body to insert themselves into what is supposed to be a private practice and process, only to be regulated, not to be incentivized, to be regulated, so that we don't have applicants that ultimately crash the housing market again, similar to what happened in 2008. Now, if you're telling me that an applicant, according to this California Assembly Bill in 1840, is that an applicant who meets the requirements for a loan under a home purchase assistance program, meaning that they're basically helping these people get homes, how can you not disqualify them by their immigration status? I'm not saying that they can't buy homes. I'm just saying, how can you use other people's tax dollars to help somebody else buy a home who's not even here legally? How can they use U.S. tax dollars to help somebody do something that's not even here legally? That's your money. I don't really know if y'all really grasping what we're saying right now. This is your money. Your money.
The social and economic benefits of homeownership should be accessible to everyone, regardless of immigration status.
So the program provides first-time buyers with a zero-interest loan up to 20% of a home's purchase price. On a median-priced home in California, that's about $150,000 cash up front for each buyer, with their down payment and help with closing costs. So
that's crazy. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane and crazy. I don't know. I don't really have the words to communicate what my thoughts are and what my feelings are without saying something that is just 100% disrespectful. I don't have the words. You know, I'm a C student, so I'm limited by my capacity. I don't have the words to say. I don't. I just don't.
So far this year, the program cost taxpayers about $255 million to help about 2,000 buyers. The bill is sponsored by a prominent Latino rights group with close ties to Vice President Harris.
What the rest of the America needs to be worried about is the Kamala Harris-Walz administration taking these crazy California ideas and nationalizing them and taking them to the rest of the country. The country can't afford to buy illegal immigrants' homes.
So eventually, Stuart, the state is repaid with a little appreciation. It is run by a state agency that will then help the immigrant obtain the other 80% of the financing. The bill is expected to pass this week. We don't know what Governor Newsom is going to do, sign it or not. Back to you.
My guess is he'll sign it, but that's another story. William, thank you very much indeed.
It's disrespectful. I think that it's disrespectful to the American people. I think it's disrespectful to taxpayers. I think it's disrespectful to the people that have been looking for government assistance, to veterans. I think it's disrespectful to homeless people. I think it's disrespectful to everybody that lives in California and ultimately the American people, because they're trying to adopt these same policies and make them a national platform to stand on. I just think it's messed up. And we see the play, and we see the disrespect, and we see how this is going to go. And we acting like we don't see it, and y'all just letting it rock out. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Night Jade is in the building, says, equality, female president, let's change the rules. That's real equality. Dallas D in the building says, if Kamala is elected, selected, inserted as the next president, I'm just identifying as an undocumented. Nope, because you got an ID. You got a social security number, so they're not, you getting kicked out. JC says, Cali keeps disrespecting FBAs, and shout out to Gavin Newsom. YFNL Bill says, I live in North Carolina. Can I also get a home in Cali? Nope. Oop Milk in the building says, where's my pitchfork? Jamal Parks is in the building, says, do you think the economy will crash due to the trillions in credit card debt? Seem like it's a lot of people spending more and won't pay it back. I think that the economy is already low-key in a recession. A.R. Smitty says, sounds as if they're trying to manufacture a race war. No, because y'all not going to do nothing. Ain't nobody scared of y'all. Teen Nine Tails says, Trump has assembled the Avengers and they all want to smoke. But the problem is the people. If you can't get the people on board to be educated, then this is an issue. Is California's goal just to kick the middle class out and replace the population with illegals? Sound like it. Christopher Mayberry says, Malika Malaysia researcher AD. Send it to me in an email. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Let me see something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so you know what? Let's do it like this. Let's have one final segment, and let's break down this housing shortage. So I found this yesterday, courtesy, I believe, of CNBC, MSNBC, and it's CNBC, and it's talking about a massive housing shortage and a race to continue to build more homes. And I want to evaluate this, and I have not seen it myself yet, but I wanted to evaluate this because the conversation politically is that we have a massive housing shortage. Now, I'm not really sure that that's true, but I want to see what CNBC is saying about this massive housing shortage, and then I'll give you my comments. Let's get into it, y'all.
The United States isn't building enough homes.
The amount of inventory that we've seen increase has taken the level of existing home inventory to 3.8 months. Normal is 6.
Builders completed over 1.5 million new housing units in the 12-month period that ended in July 2024. That still wasn't enough to end a housing shortage that's a decade in the making.
Not only were we underbuilding for a decade, but then you get to the pandemic and there's this massive rush on housing.
That's making home prices rise fast in many parts of the country.
So if you are waiting for that market to really dip, it's not going to happen. The reason for that is that we are so underbuilt.
Both 2024 presidential candidates have ideas to fix the housing market, but neither stance seems to prioritize a key underlying issue.
A lack of competition is also contributing to the low supply of housing.
Can politicians do anything about the housing shortage? And if so, why haven't they yet? For years, builders in the United States have made fewer homes than the U.S. needs. There are various estimates for the scale of the shortage,
which is estimated anywhere from 2 to 8 million. Some people put it at even 20 million housing units that we are short.
The shortfall in new construction sent home prices trending higher over the past decade. The typical newly built home in the United States cost about $417,000 in June 2024.
That is completely out of the reach of most people. I'll just tell y'all that. Wages have not kept up with the cost of housing and inflation, and it is disrespectful. Personally, before I even look at this, I don't believe that we have a housing shortage. You cannot convince me that we have a housing shortage. I believe that we have an affordability problem. We have an affordability problem on multiple different fronts. First of all, most people don't even want to stay where they were born and raised and where they voted. And so they're trying to migrate over to other places and make that unaffordable instead of dealing with the problems within their own legislative branches that ultimately created the space that made this housing unaffordable in some of these places like California in the first place. So then they turn Austin into California Light, for example. Secondly, in order to try to combat inflation, because now they're saying over the last 2 months, well, inflation is down. Inflation is now only at 2 to 3%. Well, it was at 10% since you've been in president in the office. And overall, over the last 3.5 years, it's up like 23%, which they then raised interest rates in order to try to tamp down inflation, which they then warned you and said that it's going to be some gnashing of teeth and problems and issues. And so then what happens was it made borrowing much more difficult to get as far as for people that was even looking to put down 3.5% to 20% on a home. Well, what did that do? Also, it was a residual effect of the idea that most people that would have normally sold their homes are refusing to sell their homes because they know that if they go and buy another home, that they're going to have to buy that home under the new interest rates instead of the 2 to 3% that they initially signed up for the first place. The problem isn't a housing shortage. The federal government is so wrong. They think that they can fix this by just building more houses, and that's not true. First of all, the houses that they building is trash, all right? So then they going to incentivize builders and continue to put money in their pockets. And then secondly, they don't solve for the fundamental issues of affordability in this country, which also goes along with tariffs and cost of living and logistics and all these things. And there's so many different pieces that move into this that is going to influence squatters, rental rules, renter rights that goes into the cost of housing. We don't have a housing shortage. We have an affordability problem across the board when it comes to wages, interest rates, homes themselves exploding at a crazy rate. What happened during the pandemic where it just basically made housing explode. So then they somewhat forwarded what was to come early because they basically made money free in order to keep the economy running because of the pandemic. And then people were paying an egregious amount of money over asking price without any kind of inspections. And then it made a whole bunch of people house poor. They moved away from the cities that they were initially in. And then ultimately, they had to go back to work. And so now they stuck between a rock and a hard place. And most of them is house poor in the first place. The government should not be in this business. And they think that they are going to build a whole bunch of houses and that's just going to solve all of the problems. It's not. It's absolutely not. And if the average home sold in the United States of America is $400,000 at a 5.5% to 6% interest rate, and most people can't even put up the money in order to even be able to make a down payment of 20%, you're going to be house poor anyway. And you got to pay that for the next 30 years?
Slight decline from 2022, when home prices averaged around
$430,000.
But the typical household only brought in around $75,000 a year in 2022, the most recent year with data available. Purchasing a home in many major U.S. cities would require over $130,000 in household income. Meanwhile, many people have depleted their savings following the pandemic.
We're absolutely seeing a trend of consumers, home buyers, moving from California to the Southwest and Texas, moving from the Northeast to Florida and Georgia because of a lower cost of living, less state tax, better weather. About half of the new home sales in the country are in 10 cities, and that includes 4 cities in Texas. It's much faster to get zoning and entitlement improvement. And so as that happens, then you can move it through the cycle faster.
Decisions from the Federal Reserve can affect the real estate cycle too. About 18 million households were priced out of home ownership between early 2022 and October 2022 as mortgage rates rose, according to the National Association of Home Builders. That economic tightening is slowing down the development of new housing too.
In the housing sector, investment stalled in the second quarter after a strong rise in the first.
There were fewer residential building permits issued and fewer housing projects started in 2024 than there were in 2023.
The expectation, of course, is that the Fed will lower their rates in September. And while mortgage rates don't exactly follow the Fed, they are influenced by what the Fed does. So a lot of summer potential buyers were waiting till fall to see if rates would come down even more.
Some big builders have offered deals on mortgage rates to help home buyers bridge the gap. For example, the home builder D.R. Horton offered some buyers in the Reno, Nevada area a temporary 1-year 3.5% interest rate in 2023 before it rises to market rates over time.
People are going to get absolutely slaughtered, and this is what you call the beginning of what is going to be a manufactured housing crisis. People are going to get absolutely slaughtered. All that is a overglorified arm. That's all it is an overglorified arm. Oh, you get this interest rate at a lower rate, and then over time, we just going to continue to raise the interest rates in order to incentivize and continue to spur the housing market. This is exactly what we started to get when you started to get the housing crisis in the first place. I bet you what's next is they're going to lower the barrier to entry, and you're not going to have to be able to earn as much money in order to get a home. And so then we're going to start to make some modifications. And then it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We already see a housing crash that's coming in Florida. Insurers are pulling out of California and Florida. Interest rates is high as hell. And it's ultimately going to be one of the worst things for you.
5% interest rate in 2023 before it rises to market rates over time.
Most of the big builders have their own mortgage company. It's called a captive mortgage business. They can buy down the mortgage rate. That is an advantage big builders have that private, smaller builders do not have.
There were over 400,000 businesses building homes in the United States in 2023. The industry remains fragmented, but the biggest firms have advantages that are helping them increase their control of numerous local housing markets. Just 10 builders are behind more than half of the new homes in 49 of 50 metro regions in the United States.
You're seeing cities like Tampa as an example, where today the top 10 builders have more than 80% market share. That just makes it very hard for any new builder to get a foothold.
If you look at relevant markets, well-defined for housing, then you see that in many places, it took the two firms that were merging from having 30% each to having 70 or 80 or 90% of the housing market. What's really critical here is the definition of a housing market. No matter how many developers you have building in San Francisco, if you live in the suburbs of DC in Virginia, those developers in San Francisco do not constitute a competitive threat to your market.
Most of these homes that they building is so cookie cutter and they cut so many corners. What I've learned as now becoming a builder over the last year, so now I can consider myself a builder. Not just a real estate investor, not just a real estate holder, but now I can add builder to my resume. I might need to update my LinkedIn profile. But now that I've learned as a builder, Man, let me tell you something. They cut so many corners. When you see these mass manufactured homes in these new subdivisions that they basically tearing down all of our forests from, then you see so many different, they'll change the color on the front. They might change the stone a little bit, but all of it is the same and all of it is manufactured, and y'all gonna have to pay these high-ass HOA fees. That's not gonna be conducive for y'all, and it be trash. These homes are built like trash. They got these facades and these fake bricks, and then they go into it, and all of this stuff is bad. I'm telling you, the quality of these homes and how they cut corners is insane. It's absolutely insane. They cut corners on how much insulation that they put in certain places, and they use cheaper materials and thinning and all of this stuff. It's horrible. I'm telling you. I'm not telling y'all don't get a manufactured home or a home that's built by a builder. I'm saying that make sure you do your inspections and make sure you get a good inspector and know what you're getting and know what you're paying for.
The largest 100 home builders in the United States were behind about half of new single-family home sales in 2023, according to researchers at Johns Hopkins.
The top 10 builders combined had 10% market share. Today, only 3 decades later.
Look at that crap. Look at that crap, man. That, honestly, you know what that looked like? What was the name of that movie? Where all of the wives was the same and stuff like that. What do they call those communities? I forgot what they called the name of those communities. The Stepford wives, them Stepford communities. Man, don't you know that when you go into these communities and you get these homes or whatever like that, a lot of times, because you can't separate or differentiate yourself from the rest of the homes because there's nothing unique about them, you cap the amount of money that you can make on those homes. And it's all, of course you got comps, right? But you cap the amount of money that you can make for those homes because they are all cookie cutter and it's a million of them. So why would somebody buy your home when they're basically building a whole bunch more over in the next town over in the next subdivision over that's going to be the same or very similar to the one that you got? People are more incentivized to then just go in and build a whole new home instead of getting one that's unique in a neighborhood that's already established. It's just trash, bro.
Top 10 have 50%
Look at those
market
homes.
share. And Horton, the biggest, has 15% market
and
share.
they all
So
attached. None of them have no separation between one and the next one. I'd rather live in a smaller, tiny home than live in this manufactured trash.
concentration has been accelerating. My team estimates that about 2/3, 70% of the unit growth that the big builders are delivering is from acquisitions.
The two biggest home builders in the United States are D.R. Horton and Lennar. Both have outperformed the S&P 500 between August 2014 and August 2024.
Their business is really going gangbusters, and if you look at the stocks, they're way up because they were able to grab such market share. A lot of the small to mid-sized builders just simply couldn't make the math work. Their borrowing costs were so high that a lot of them either went out of business or agreed to be purchased by the larger builders.
At the end of its 2023 fiscal year, D.R. Horton closed about 83,000 homes at an average price of about $382,000.
What I'm going to go over in the next stock club, I'm going to go over D.R. Horton, I'm going to go over to Lennar Homes, I'm going to go over to Pulte, and I want to show y'all we're going to break down everything, the charts. You know how we break it down in stock club, right? Shout out to my bag chasers. I'm going to break down the profit margins, I'm going to break down the borrowing costs, I'm going to break down the debt. I'm going to go into all of that. I don't do that on the Millionaire Morning Show because, I don't have enough time. We usually spend about an hour, 20 minutes going over stocks, breaking down the 8 things that we look for when we look to invest in a company, all of those things. So I'm going to dig into that in the Patreon, but shout out to everybody that's buying a new home and you think that it's a housing shortage. It's not a housing shortage. It's a affordability problem. And they're going to spur the market by having all of these migrants buying these new homes and incentivizing them by giving them free money in order to do so. So that's just my personal opinion anyways. Let me read a few of these super chats and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here for the day. It's Edmund says, why pay taxes at this point? Because you don't want to go to jail. Because you don't want to go to jail. That's why you want to pay taxes. JC says, Newsom means merits hand. I don't know. I'm sorry. Thank you, JC. I appreciate you. ERaw25 says this election is all scripted. Both parties ready to start World War III for Israel. 90% of our politicians are controlled by you know who. Shout out to you. Ken Artis in the building says, why would California want to guarantee migrants the right to purchase a home for up to $1.5 million? Popular vote will kill the United States of America. Shout out to you. Wealth Building Journey is in the building, says, join the bag chasers. Y'all can understand housing for real, for real. Appreciate you, Wealth Building Journey. And then my dog, Tyshawn, is in the building. Tyshawn says, can you believe those 3D printed houses are going for $400,000 and up? Shaking my head. So shout out to everybody that's in the chat. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Is there anything else? Join the Patreon. Tiege Hanley. 40% off your first order plus. Don't start speaking to Rita. Don't start speaking to Rita. We don't want to hear that. And don't laugh. Don't laugh. Don't start speaking to Rita. We don't want to hear that. We're not interested. No, we don't want to roll with it. We're not interested in that. All right. Y'all got anything else to say besides that? Oh my God. I'm about to move that desk. I'm not mad. Don't say hi to everybody. Oh my God. Rita not built like preservatives though. I am Annie Marie says, thank you, AD, in advance for that Patreon. We will need that info ASAP. I got you, Annie. I got you, Annie. Oh my gosh. Anton, stop being mean. Oh my God. Read it for president. Oh my God. Unicorn sighting? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh. Next time you come after the show. I didn't know that you could see me on the camera because you have it turned up already. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to rock out with me. I know she gorgeous. They be mad. People be mad because she's slim, trim, and gorgeous, and she ain't built like a punchki and got preservatives. I might have to make you stand up. No. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to continue to rock out with y'all. Shout out to my dog, Chris James, in the building. What we got tonight? I think it's probably just going to be me and Quentin. Might just be me and Quentin tonight. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.